Hey guys, welcome back to Renaissance Man Media. And I just got done watching The Martian, and I'm aware that this movie's been out for about 7.5 years at this point. I believe it came out in September of 2015. When the movie came out originally, it was running right up against the movie Sicario, which I was a lot more interested in watching. And then after I did watch Sicario, I was like, there's no way The Martian could beat it. Sicario was probably my favorite movie of 2015, directed by Denis Villeneuve, or Villeneuve, however you say his name. He's probably the best director going right now. I'd even put him ahead of Christopher Nolan because Christopher Nolan, he's made some okay movies recently, but I don't think he's made any great ones. Dunkirk is a movie I could probably do a review on, but Dunkirk was okay. Anyway, so The Martian. The Martian is directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was in his late 70s when he made this movie. He's now in his mid 80s, which is crazy to think about. But it stars Matt Damon as the astronaut Mark Watney, who's a botanist who basically gets stranded on Mars, gets left for dead. His crew members think that he died in like I don't know if they call it a sandstorm, but it's basically just a storm on Mars. Yeah, and so overall, the rest of the movie is just kind of his mission to survive, obviously, to make sure that he has enough food, see if he can create water, all these kind of things, and then there's little hiccups that happen along the way. I don't want to spoil the movie, although the movie's been out for, like I said, quite a long time. But I do still think that if no one's seen that movie and you want to watch it, I think you should watch it and not have any spoilers be spoiled to you. But that being said, the rest of the cast is pretty good. Jeff Daniels is the leader of NASA, the NASA director. It's nice to see him in a movie because I feel like we don't see him enough. Sean Bean. Sean Bean's one of my favorite actors, and yet you don't see him in a whole lot of at least American-made pictures, I feel like, anymore. Um, Jessica Chastain's in it. Sebastian Stan, Michael Pena. I can't think of the black guy's name. Oh, Donald Glover's in it, but that's not the guy I was thinking of. There's another guy. He's the bad guy in Doctor Strange. I just can't think of what his name is. It's a little difficult to pronounce. I could look it up, but regardless, I thought overall the cast was pretty good. I think the thing I wasn't like completely dissatisfied with The Martian, but what I would say is the movie left me just like I don't like you get done and it's almost 2.5 hours, and I'm just not entirely sure if I was thrilled. I will say like I eventually got emotionally invested where they're doing the rescue mission, and I was like, okay, yeah, like I am feeling something, and I was happy. I was on the edge of my seat and I was happy. So in that regard, the movie did its job. But overall, I don't think that this movie was worth the hype that it got. I mean, if you look on IMDb right now, it's rated as an 8 out of 10, which I do not think it deserves. Like, production wise, the movie's great. I mean, it seemed like they spared no expense of making you really feel like he was on Mars, and the space stuff looks good. So, special effects wise, this movie's great. Uh, I didn't think the dialogue was bad really at all. I thought the dialogue was fine. This movie is just lackluster. Like it just nothing grabbed me. It might just be because of Matt Damon. Because honestly, Matt Damon is a good actor, but uh, I feel like he kind of suffers from you don't get emotionally attached to a Matt Damon character. Like for me, the only movies I've ever really liked him in are like the Bourne movies. Like that, I really like his character because it's like he is Jason Bourne. But aside from that, Saving Private Ryan, Rounders is a movie I like, and that one's a little better. But another one that's another separate review I could do. And by the way, I ramble on these guys, so I mean, I hope this is just me sitting down and talking. Um, Movie that I was supposed to like according to everybody else, and I sat down and watched and didn't care for it was Good Will Hunting. The movie tells you that you're supposed to, I don't want to say sympathize, but you're supposed to feel for his character, Will Hunting, and I just despised him. I despised his attitude, his cockiness, all that kind of stuff. So when things are going bad in that movie for him, I just was like, I don't really care. Anyway, for this, I just find it weird that like the year before he was in Interstellar as an astronaut. I mean, that's a part in the movie that they don't talk about, but he's a bad guy really in that movie. But then a year later does The Martian. I think they just knew that he was working on that, and they're like, yeah, we'll get Matt Damon. So he did two astronaut pictures back to back. I will say I liked Interstellar a lot more than this movie. I find McConaughey a more interesting hero more complex person, and I care for the story of that one a lot more because that Interstellar took some chances. That's another review I'll have to do eventually. But overall, The Martian, like I said, if no one's seen this or if you have seen it and you're just curious my opinion on it. So I have a rating system. It's a 6-point rating system because, people talk about, oh, what's the number out of 10? Is it an 8 out of 10, a 7.5, whatever? I don't really know what that means because most people don't use 10 out of 10s, and no movie's ever really going to get like a 1 out of 10. So I like things that are more practical. Jeremy Johns is a big inspiration for this. He has a practical list, and I don't want to steal from him. I've said that before in the channel. So what I was thinking was I do a 6-point system. So the lowest grade I have is a coaster. That means the movie is better served off you just putting your drink on it and no one ever watching it. The next one is don't pay money for this. There are movies out there that, like, maybe if you're super bored, have nothing better to do, and you're like, screw it, I just want to watch a new movie. I would just say, hey, as long as you can watch it for free, then I guess, like, just take a shot at it. Maybe there's some small remote chance that you get some enjoyment out of it. And then there's a $5 bin movie, which is if you saw the movie in a $5 bin at a Walmart, you would be like, all right, I'll take that for a spin. I'll see if that's good. Or if you've already seen it and it's a $5 bin, you're like, all right, that might be worth $5 to buy it forever, just to occasionally have. And then the next ones are Guilty Pleasure, which is a positive rating. Like the last three were negative. Guilty Pleasure is a positive rating. There are movies that I like more than most people, and most people would be like, why do you own that movie? I'm like, well, I enjoy it for these reasons or whatever. And then the next one would be a Buy It, Own It, which is obviously a pretty good rating, which means that I recommend that everybody, if you're a movie fan, to buy it, own it. And then lastly is a masterpiece, which is like, even like your friend's mom or your mom has seen the movie and liked it, where it spreads across everybody, where generally everybody loves that movie. So this movie is definitely not a masterpiece. Maybe some people might think that. Some people are really high on Ridley Scott. I think he makes some great movies, but overall, I would find him, how would I say this? He's not a bad director. He's not even, when I say overrated, I just mean like people put him in like the upper echelon. I'm like, he's made a lot of clunky movies, or just movies that people just want to prop up just because. I don't do that. Like I said, I don't give movies passes based off who the director is. I don't go, well, it's better than this because of the director or whatever. The directing of Ridley Scott definitely helped this movie. It's not a masterpiece. I'm not going to put it as a buy it own it. I thought maybe halfway through I'd be like, yeah, I could see myself buying this. And then I thought about it. Big thing about buying a movie is, does it have replayability? Would you care to sit down and watch this again in the future? Like, would you want to show your friends? And for me, there's some cool science stuff in this movie. Some cool stuff. The special effects are good. But overall, I could describe the movie to someone and then just have them look at some pictures of Mars, and that's pretty much it. You're not missing any great acting performances in this movie. Like I said, they're not bad, but there's nothing I feel like you have to watch. And I feel like when you tell somebody there's a movie about a guy stranded on Mars, the natural conclusion, if I ask them, how do you think it ends? Well, he gets saved from Mars, and you would be correct. And you don't have to have an M. Night Shyamalan ending for a movie to be good, but everything has to be satisfying, I believe, and not super predictable. Like, when you deal with a space movie, the thing I don't like is, like, that the guy's not going to die, and that something is going to go, like, you just kind of set your watch to it, and you're like, when is like, whenever they're trying to calculate, he's got this much time, and he's got this much food or whatever, I'm just like sitting there like, yep, when's the hiccup happening? When's the random this happened, and now we've been set back, and like, a lot of this stuff isn't realistic, to be honest. You could say, like, yeah, okay, the guy's on Mars, of course, like, that hasn't happened yet. What I'm saying is, when you calculate everything, I'm not saying nothing will ever go wrong. Things go wrong. But the randomness of just, like, and I'm not a science major. I mean, I deal with science in my line of work to a certain extent, but he just comes in from being outside, like, does everything normally like he does, and then all of a sudden, like, some oxygen leak happened or something where basically his the area that he'd been living in just explodes, and like his crops are ruined and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what are the chances of that? I don't know. So just unnecessary hiccups that don't come off as believable kind of rub me the wrong way. Anyway, back to the rating system. I'm going to give this movie. No, I can't give it a guilty pleasure because, like I said, I don't think I enjoyed it as much. I would give it a buy. Not a buy. I would give it a $5 bin. That not me, but if somebody else saw it in a $5 bin and said, "Is The Martian worth picking up and watching?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure. Like, give it a shot because you probably enjoy it more than I do." Because I can't say don't pay it. I just spent $4 to rent it. I don't feel like I got gypped. Like, it just, this is a movie that you just take a shot at. And I don't want to say this movie wasn't for me. There was stuff that I enjoyed, but overall, like I said, it just lacks the replayability of, it's different from like Apollo 13 is a good space movie that movie's obviously based off a real story. And I believe with the main cast, I don't remember everyone that's in that movie. I know Kevin Bacon's in it. Tom Hanks is in it. I want to say Bill Paxton was in it, but I might be wrong. But regardless, like that movie is pretty solid. Ed Harris was in that movie. That movie's really solid with the performances and then the tension that they build. I feel like that works better because that's an actual thing that happened. So it feels like you're watching them play out what really happened, and it doesn't feel like unbelievable where they're just like, we got to make something bad happen. And that movie was really rewarding. So I feel like that movie you can sit down and rewatch, and it's really good. This movie, like I said, it's fine. It's fine. That's what I give it. So anyway, that's the review. Hope you guys liked it. I'll be doing. I'm gonna get more comfortable with editing, and all that stuff will be coming. As of right now, you're basically just gonna have thumbnails and then talking from me. But I will talk. I mean, I will put out a ton of movie reviews. I mean, that's what I love doing. So, big inspiration from this channel is Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert, Richard Roeper. I grew up watching their movie reviews, and ideally, I would like to have a co-host that I could sit down and watch movie reviews with after watching movies. The sad thing is, I'm not in a current relationship right now, and that's kind of the only person that would be living with me that I could do that on a regular basis until my daughter grows up. When my daughter grows up, I would like to be able to do movie reviews with her. One day she might see this and be like, "Wow, Dad." But that would be cool. But until then, yeah, it might just be me. I mean, I could occasionally have my buddy Jesse help me. But for right now, it's probably just going to be me. I mean, hell, eventually, if I got big enough, maybe I could get Richard Roeper to like come on and do these like once a week. That would be awesome because, like I said, I probably wouldn't have been as into movies if not for him and Roger Ebert. So that's it. I'm running about 13 minutes. Hope you guys have a good one. Let me know any movies that you want me to review. If you feel like no one talks about it enough, let me know. But yeah, Martian, at the end of the day, $5 bin for me. Didn't love it as much as everybody else. All right, have a good one, guys.